Totem Pole Nation. We are here on a Monday afternoon. The Manfred Soul is
Mic check,
back in
mic
the
check.
house.
Check all hot mics.
Manfred Soul is back in the house. How you doing and how's your day?
Still coming in choppy.
How's your day? Is it good now? How was
Yes,
your day?
it was great. Took a trip up to Northern Virginia. Did a little shopping with my mom. Got some graduation gifts for my son, and had some lunch.
All right. Well, we got a lot of things that we got to talk
Not too
about.
dramatic.
Nothing traumatic. Heard that. We got a lot we got to talk about. What was your? Who do you think won the NFL draft this weekend? I know y'all were on for three. A lot of rounds. It's a long day, a lot of coverage. Who do you think won the draft?
I would say, ish. Uh, I, you know what? This is a weird draft, man, because I think a lot of people did well. I mean, nobody jumps off the screen for me like screaming like you hit it. But I'll give you two observations that like you hear all you hear all the buzz. You know where I didn't hear buzz coming out of?
Who?
I fe- I felt no buzz, or I didn't hear zero. We didn't talk about it, but Miami, and maybe because they didn't have a first round pick, but Miami and Cleveland were just like, I was like, were they even here? And then, secondly, I'll go on the record and say that, man, I applaud the move by the Falcons, the Penix Jr. pick, because like people are beating them up and like Kirk Cousins, you should get him something and blah 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 blah. But here's my thing on my take on Kirk Cousins. You know, I'm not mad at Atlanta for picking up Kirk Cousins, but when Atlanta signed Kirk Cousins and they picked him up, did any of us think that they were going to the Super Bowl?
No.
No, because they're still a couple seasons away from even competing. So if you fall in love with a quarterback and you know because you have Kirk Cousins, you don't plan on picking that high in the next 3 years. Go get the guy. You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
It's okay. It's okay to go get the guy because Kirk Cousins gets two more drafts, and a two more drafts and two more free agencies to go through, and then they're going to pick up players because they're not a Super Bowl contender this year. But guess what? They already have their quarterback of the future on the roster, in the building, learning the game, and not having to be exposed right away to being on the field in the NFL, he has a huge advantage. Just as Aaron Rodgers and Mr. Love in Green Bay. I mean, I hear more people beat than applauding the move, and I mean, and I was playing golf this weekend, Lambo, and I'll keep names out of it, but two former NFL players were on the driving range. And the topic of conversation, they weren't talking to me, I was just ear hustling, was how bad a move that was picking up Penix Jr. And that's when I really started thinking to myself all weekend. I'm like, dude, what are they talking about? Like, you got to look a little deeper into this. And it all starts where you disagree with me. No one asked them or invited them to the Super Bowl next year. So what's the problem? You add somebody there. Who you adding there at 8 that's taking you to the Super Bowl next year? If there was somebody, then I'd say that was a bad move. You feel me? You know they got holes on defense. You know they got youth on offense. Yeah, you brought in Cousins, but he's not saving you and taking you over the finish line. Not yet. Give him a chance.
How do you feel about Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Arizona, according to Coach Ball? Do you think they did a good job?
What's that?
About Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Arizona. How do you think all three of the teams did, especially your Green Bay Packers? How do you think they all
Hold
did?
on, I gotta tap out. I gotta tap out real quick because I just jumped out the car and I'm coming in low. How do I? Okay, hold on.
Thanks, studio. All right, so I think this draft was definitely great. I saw that the Patriots did an amazing job as far as the draft.
Okay, I'm back.
Paul came
Go ahead.
back.
Ask me that question again, sir.
So, how do you think about Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and Arizona? Like what Coach Ball said, they did the damn thing. What's your opinions on the draft of Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and Arizona?
And again, I those two of the three I do like. And here's the reason. One, Arizona takes a generational talent at receiver that gives you a chance. You just gave your quarterback a chance to succeed. And if he can't and he doesn't, then we'll move on. But I will say this: that coach is a good one. The two coordinators Philly lost to Cardinals and the Colts, they can coach and give that guy time because correct me if I'm wrong, he went into Philly and beat his former coach. I mean, with no roster. Let them build that thing, and they're building it brick by brick. I like the way they went line. They got some skill players. Well done, and they have a quarterback. Okay, Pittsburgh. You know what? Here's the thing. And again, you might go, man, don't stop. I can't fall in love with Pittsburgh. Listen, they think they're cool. I mean, I was listening to. I mean, you got to listen to the Steel City Twins. They've got a good podcast, but they're very homerish, and they're so excited about their offensive line. They finally got one, but you don't have a quarterback. And again, I know the quarterback position was not part of this draft, but it's just the fact that I can't get down with them because who on their roster is. I mean, and again, they can be Trump tight at every position. If they're not Trump, if they don't have the guy pushing the buttons, I just can't. I can't get down with them. I mean, and honestly, and I know they didn't want to spend the money, but Kirk Cousins is honestly a better fit there. He has a better chance of going deep than the two they got. It's just, you know, and again, I don't like how people like they just forget where these guys came from and they're like, oh, they're in Pittsburgh. We're awesome. We got Russell Wilson and him, and like we watched how they came up the last 3 years, and I mean, just because they're in Pittsburgh don't mean things are going to change. They could, but we've been watching the league for a little while. We know more things change, more things stay the same. I mean, so I'm not. I like their picks. I mean, but nothing's moving in Pittsburgh without a quarterback. You know, just like I heard on the radio today, Jaden Daniels could be a Hall of Famer, and the rest of the guys they drafted be bust. And it was a great draft for the Commanders. But if Jaden Daniels is a bust and the rest of the guys pop, it wasn't a good draft for the Commanders. That's what the league is about, the quarterback position, bottom line. And one of those guys, they're hoping that they pop, but they have past history that tells us that they're not. And that's where I'm not in love with just whoever they picked. I just couldn't even get excited about it because quarterback situation is just sketchy.
We don't know until the game is played on the field. That's when we will find out. When the game is played on the field, I think there's multiple teams. You won't find out if they had a good or a bad draft until the results produce on the field. Um, I'm not going to talk too much about my Patriots, but I thought the Patriots had a good draft, drafting some wide receivers that I didn't expect them to draft, drafting some defensive guys. The two quarterbacks and drafting Drake May in the number 3 overall pick, and then Joe Milton in the 6th round. We ain't had a draft in a while where we drafted 2 quarterbacks. So that means we're getting rid of Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi will be gone if we drafted Joe Milton and Drake May. So if the future of the Patriots is saying Jacoby Brissett, Drake May, and Joe Milton, if Joe Milton wins his job as like a 3rd string quarterback, I wasn't a big fan of the Joe Milton pick. I wasn't a big fan of that. Now I know he has a great cannon. I know he can, throw the thing, sling it. But his last year at Tennessee, it wasn't the best. Now his numbers might say something different, but that Tennessee team, they only had a run game. Sarah Blake Cheek is a Tennessee Volunteers fan, and they only had a run game, not too much of a passing game, especially the year before when they lost Jalen Hyatt to the Giants, I think, and they had 2 great receivers the year before that they lost. I'm just surprised that we drafted 2 quarterbacks from the Patriots standpoint. But I mean, we'll see where this goes as far as the Patriots. I'm not
But you know,
surprised.
my only
Go ahead.
recollections of my only recollections of 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 pulling off a move like that have been positive. And one involves RG3 and Kirk Cousins, and the other one involves Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. And we see how that turned out. So I mean, it's not a bad. I mean, you're not. It's not. You're not taking huge risk at that spot, and it's not like you're counting on every single draft pick to include a 6th rounder to help you make the playoffs next year because they're not. So
All right.
you might as well take a chance to catch lightning in a bottle, because at the end of the day, let's say he gets on the field because people get hurt. I mean, he becomes an asset then down the road in a trade or something. You know what I'm saying?
All right, I agree. We'll have to
Kind
just
of
see
like,
how.
remember, I mean, remember what the Patriots got for the guy that played the whole season? I mean, they got a high pick for him when Brady tore his ACL that one
Matt
year.
Castle. Matt Castle.
Matt Castle, and they almost made the playoffs. They were 11-5 that year with Matt Castle, but he became a commodity at that point, just playing one season because he did it in the pros. So you never know, man. I mean, you could turn a six if you turn a 6th rounder into a 3rd rounder down the road, not a bad get.
All right. Next thing in the NFL, Roger Goodell was on the Pat McAfee show. There's a possibility next season or the season after or whenever, they're going to make changes in the NFL. There's a possibility that's going to be an 18 game season with 2 bye weeks. And I know Roger Goodell, quote unquote, said on the Pat McAfee show that preseason games are a waste of time. They don't do preseason games in college football. They only do the spring game, and that's it. How do you feel if that were to change going forward? 18 games, 2 bye weeks, and I think either 1 or 2 preseason games or zero. How do you feel about that if that were to happen?
Mm, well, one, it sets up two things for the NFL. I believe that they kind of put out there a little bit. But one,
I don't
it
mean to cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off. If that were to happen, that means that the Super Bowl would be the day before President's Day. The day before
you froze,
President's
huh?
Meaning, if it was an 18 game season, that means the season could go all the way until instead of like February, it can go all the way to having that 3 day weekend. Because you have President's Day off and whatnot. In general, it could be that Sunday before President's Day. That's when the season could end. But go ahead.
Well, I'll start right there. I'll start right there, and then I'll backtrack because it's one of my fondest memories of being in the military. And you're like, what are you talking about? Well, in Korea, the Super Bowl starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. So in Korea, it's 8 o'clock Monday morning. So in Korea, Monday is an off day. It's the day to watch the Super Bowl in the morning. And people are having these parties with mimosas and Bloody Marys and scrambled eggs and bacon. It's a huge event there because we do breakfast for Super Bowl. So getting to that long weekend would be key because I think the Monday after Super Bowl should be a holiday because it literally was for us because we watched the game in the morning and had the entire rest of the day after from noon on off. So it's almost like a day. So I say yes to that. Um, Preseason,
Either not have a
yes.
preseason or it's at least 1 or 2 games. Roger Goodell said preseason is a waste of time.
Well, 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 and I get. I mean, again, I wouldn't say it's a waste of time. It's probably a waste of his time, a waste of NFL time. But does it truly give the organizations ample time to evaluate late round picks and undrafted free agents that 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 could help the rosters down the road? Because we know in this game there's a ton of injuries. So, and I know they've expanded the practice squad, which allows the teams to hold on to more players on that practice squad that they like during camp. Um, and again, the not having preseason games and having more NFL games, you know, that's just more days in combat for the actual starter, so they won't like it. However, we get to real football sooner, and um, and it's I don't know as far as safety and injuries where that takes us because I mean we lose a lot of guys during training camp to multiple injuries, and again, like especially ankle and knee type injuries, Achilles. It has been popping up a lot lately, Achilles and ACL type stuff. But I would like to know how that whole thing's going to work. So if you go to 18, we currently are at 3. So you're going to go, what, 2 preseason games?
Yeah, too.
And again, if you add a bye week, I think that's what's going to sell to the players. You just added another bye week for just adding one more game when they played the last 3 years under one bye week and 17 weeks. And I also last thing, I think it will help that Christmas season because that's one. that's a positive thing that you could say about the league and Roger Goodell, trying to fit some games in on Christmas Day. That was an absolute home run. I mean, and shame on the NBA for allowing the NFL to sneak in there and take up their time, because I will tell you, I did not flip 1 minute to the NBA games on Christmas Day this past year. And I won't this year, and I won't ever, because it used to be the day that we the best teams played, and we seen the new shoes that were coming out. But it's like preseason basketball. I mean, at least when I was growing up, people actually played defense, but it's just a glorified AAU basketball game to me. It's just, and then the NFL catches it where the games really matter. Like those games that are on Christmas, they have playoff implications because they're closer to the end. So kudos to the NFL for jumping in there going, we're going to play every Christmas.
All right. Next thing in the NFL, we also have the Kansas City Chiefs. Travis Kelsey getting a 2-year extension. That's going to make him the highest paid tight end throughout the 2027 season. He already signed a 4-year extension worth $57 million back in the 2020 COVID year, which was $46 million 5-year deal that he signed in 2016 earlier in his career. How do you feel about the Chiefs? This is the correct move. Patrick Mahomes engaged in this, obviously. Patrick Mahomes is a very happy guy. What does this mean for the Kansas City Chiefs? Can they go on a three-peat?
Absolutely. I mean, it was much deserved by Kelsey. And I mean, I'm sure without even looking at spot track, I'm sure that the Chiefs moved around money, which it doesn't even affect their overall cap. This year, it probably helps it a little more by him taking an extension. So they move money to the back end or front loaded him a signing bonus. So, um, well deserved. He carried that team last year, with the problems they were having at receiver with the drops. I mean, Kelsey at his stage in his career and at his age, I mean, he came up big in the playoffs. And again, they were rewarded him not with only money, they were rewarded him with Worthy in the draft, Hollywood Brown. Um, Guys like that are going to make his job a lot easier this year, because I think, in this whole run for the Chiefs, I think this is the most taxing year on Kelsey, and I'm pretty sure you won't see him at any preseason games. He'll get 2 days off at training camp because they got to preserve a future Hall of Famer and try to get those 2 years out of him around all these young guys, because um, they are set up for a three-peat for the moves they made in the draft and the moves they made in free agency, and make Kelsey feel like he he's wanted and he's respected. Because how do you pay a guy? How do you show a guy respect in professional sports? Pay him. So he'll be feeling good coming into the season, knowing that got rewarded financially.
All right. Next thing in the NFL, Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys reunite. That's not a surprise. It's pending physical. This is not surprising. This has been talks for a while. We thought this was fake. Dallas Cowboys did not draft a running back at all. But Ezekiel Elliott joins a team that includes Deuce Vaughn, Hunter Lukepi, and Rico Dowell, and also Royce Freeman. What does this mean for the Dallas Cowboys? Now, I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are going. I think they're going to be the same. They're still going to win 11, 12 games and not really do too much. But what kind of Zeke are we going to get? Because Jerry Jones still think he's in his prime time. So how do you
No,
feel
it's
about
not.
the Ezekiel
No,
Elliott
he
going back
doesn't
to
feel
that?
that. He, he doesn't feel that. And again, it's just is it a 1 year deal?
Right now, it's a 1-year deal.
Okay, if it's a 1 year deal, it's a publicity stunt to sell jerseys and to draw up interest in the Cowboys, because anything struck up or drawn up for the Cowboys in terms of publicity makes money for Jerry Jones. Not wins, publicity makes money for Jerry Jones. So um, Zeke Elliott, former Cowboy, that will get uh, a lot of Cowboy fans excited because he's one of the best guys to play for the Cowboys in the last 10 years, and he's a fan favorite. So he'll sell a little bit. He'll sell a little bit more jerseys with the 21 on them, and again, it'll get Jerry Jones a little bit of publicity because a guy from the heyday is back.
Well, I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are going to do too much. We'll have to see how this goes. They're still, even though they drafted, they still missing pieces. We'll have to see how that plays out on the field. Last thing in the NFL we'll talk about is Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne both picked up fifth-year options. Jacksonville Jaguars were 8-3. They were the hottest team in the NFL before falling to 9-8 last season. Defensive collapse, and they did not make the playoffs. At one point, they were the number one seed in the AFC last year. What does this mean for the future of the Jacksonville Jaguars? Trevor Lawrence has to get paid next year.
He does. So um, not a bad move. I mean, both were serviceable. They've been to the playoffs. We know that Trevor Lawrence is a franchise quarterback. Um, and yes, he will get paid. And keeping Etienne on the fifth year option, when you look at the way the position is being paid, it's not really, they're not taking it as big a hit as them signing him to a contract. Um, because the running back position, of course, we know is undervalued, so the pay is undervalued as well. So you have him around to give him a chance. Gives you a chance to negotiate long term for him, because as we've seen it in the running back market, I mean, Etienne is, if they see him no differently than they see guys like um the kid that went to Green Bay, or Joe Mixon who went to Houston. If they see him on par, why not keep your own talent?
I agree. I think this is make it or break a year for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. You got Doug Peterson. It's his second, third year the head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, Trying to fix that program. I think that quarterback head coach relationship is very important, especially with Doug Peterson trying to reunite himself after winning the Super Bowl and then getting fired in Philly in 2020. Jacksonville Jaguars got a lot of talent. I think if they play the correct way, and I know they had some injuries, and Calvin Ridley is no longer on the team. I think if they progress as a group, and I think if they, not turn the ball over and they execute better, I think they're better defensively on the side of the ball. If Jacksonville can be better defensively on the side of the ball and get into the form of Doug Peterson's new system, I think Jacksonville Jaguars have a chance to make the playoffs. Obviously, I don't see them missing the playoffs again when they were number one seed, the most hottest team in the NFL. I think when it comes to Jacksonville, it just comes down to execution. How well can they execute despite some key pieces, some losses? I think Jacksonville had somewhat of a great draft, but like I said, we don't know until the play progresses on the field, and we will figure that out
And
sometime in August. Go ahead.
that's a good point. That's a great point that you just made, and it goes back to the fifth year option. Okay, um, picking up the fifth year option means Trevor Lawrence has a contract next year, one year deal on his fifth year. But in order to negotiate this offseason, I think one, they have to win the division. They have to be better than the Texans. And they have to go into the playoffs, winning the division, or winning a game as a wild card and get into divisional round. I think divisional round is the mark. That means you are in the final four in the AFC or the NFC. And if you're in the final four of the AFC and NFC, then you've earned that second contract, and you are the franchise quarterback until you prove otherwise. And people are like, well, man, hold on. How could you say that? You know, Dak was in the divisional round a couple times, but Dak's on his second go around. So I needed to see ascension, but now we're seeing dissension. So it's not the same. So, you know, and again, you, he's right there. He's right there on the cusp of being able to negotiate after this year. But you know, a 6-11 season that ain't gonna help him. This year, now that'll be bad. That'll be bad because now you're on the 5th-year option, and they might make you play on the 5th-year option and not negotiate a long-term contract until after next season. So they have a lot of leeway in Jacksonville, and he has a little motivation to have a good big season so he can negotiate long-term deal, and they just ball up the 5th-year option and he put him on his long-term deal.
All right. Next, we're getting some NHL before we go to the NBA. The Bruins, Hurricanes, Cam Cooks, and Avalanche look to advance to the second round of the NHL playoffs. Paul, I know you're a big fan of NHL. The Predators trail Vancouver 3-1 in the first round of the series. Vancouver leads 3-1. Boston leads 3-1 to the Maple Leafs. Carolina leads 3-1. And Colorado leads 3-1. Who do you think? Will all these teams are up 3-1? Will they close out the series, or will there be some type of comeback?
I see all of them closing out. I really like again. I really like Carolina. Boston's making it to the second round. Second round of the East is going to be really, really special. I mean, you got Carolina matching up with the Rangers. That's going to be really good. And then the Predators and I think the Bruins will get it. Will get it on. And so I mean, that's good. Final Four, Eastern Conference hockey. But yeah, I don't anticipate any comebacks. I think that the cream is rising to the top, and the folks that are up 3-1, they're supposed to be up 3-1. Unfortunately, the Predators had a chance to tie up the series, and again, they got steamrolled in the third period, and there was 3-goal comeback, and then now they're down 1. So I mean, it's hard to recover from things like that. But again, second round's going to be good. Second round's going to be good. And I mean, you got some star-studded teams that are going to be around in the second round too. So from big market teams. So unlike the NBA where we've lost KD, and tonight we might lose LeBron. And I think.
Well, let's get to that right now. Let's get to that right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Minnesota Timberwolves sweep the Phoenix Suns last night. It was a great game, but we knew Phoenix was going to get beat. First-year head coach Frank Vogel, I think he's a defensive coach, but they're not as good as they thought they were. Bradley Beal struggled and got fired out of the game. Anthony Edwards, the face of the NBA, 40 points. Karl Anthony Towns added 28. It was a scary collision in the fourth quarter where Michael Conley actually ran to his coach and Coach Finch. He probably has some rupture. He has a ruptured patellar tendon in his right knee, so that's not very great. So the assistant head coach would step up. When it comes to the Phoenix Suns, Kevin Durant, he had a game. Devin Booker had at least 47, 49. But it just comes down to defense, and the defense wasn't great, and the core group around him. I think when it comes to the Suns, they are screwed. They're fucked for the future. They're fucked. They have no first round picks until 2030. They have one second round pick this year, but then no more second round picks until 2030. So I don't know who they're gonna draft, and their salary cap. They're paid a lot of players. They're paying Bradley Beal at least $50 million for the next 4 years. So this is not looking good. We're not sure if KD is going to stay or if he's going to bolt again to another team. And there's been reports talking about that he didn't like the offensive system. He wasn't happy with it. We don't know what's going on, but I've told you, I said Minnesota in 5. but I'm surprised this was a sweeping four. Paul, what are your thoughts? I mean, Minnesota, they look good. I think Minnesota can make the Western Conference Finals, possibly. I think they'll compete with Denver, obviously. But what are your thoughts on Minnesota and the Suns? They don't look good for the future. Does Frank
My
Vogel
thoughts
stay one?
my thoughts on Kevin Durant and the Suns. It'll all start with the Warriors. He should have never left the Warriors because every time he moves, he depletes a bench that's been acquired through the draft, and that's what's wrong with the Phoenix Suns. When they acquired him, just like when the Knicks acquired Carmelo Anthony, they had to deplete the whole roster, and then he's there ready to go, and there's not a roster there ready to win. That's where they live, and then they try to go in there, out there, and squeeze and buy away talent. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to in structure and all big three, but at the end of the day, you got to have a bench too to go with it. I mean, and a bench that's complementary to the guys that are supposed to be your big three. And it's a dysfunctional team down there because it got wiped away so quickly. Um, with Chris Paul, Booker, and the big man Anton in the middle, and
DeAndre,
they're just a void of talent. And like you said, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere because who's going to take Brad's contract off your hands?
nobody.
Nobody. I mean, and again, I ask myself, if Durant never leaves Golden State, where would we be today in the NBA world?
Warriors will probably still be in the playoffs right now.
It's just a travesty to watch a great player trying to find a home, but every home he finds, they have to empty the cupboards out to get his put a jersey on him. And it's not sustainable.
All right, I do agree, but I don't know where the Suns go with this with no draft picks for the
There's
next.
nowhere to go. I mean, I can't wait to see what they do in the off season. And don't tell me you're going to show up and do it all over again.
No, no, because Phoenix had a lot of expectations. GM Jones, I forgot he was a former teammate of LeBron. I think it's Jim Jones or something. Jones something. I know it's Jones, but he was a former teammate of LeBron, who was the GM. So they're going to be making a lot of changes. I don't even think Frank Vogel stays. I think he's gone because this team is championship or bust, and they got swept in the first round. That's not good. They got swept in the first round. It's not. This is
No.
not like the series went to
And
7 games and lost. They got swept. Like it's not a good look.
yeah, I mean, and
Defensively,
the
they're not.
average age of the average age of your best three players and the average age of Minnesota's best three players. It's not a good look, man. Denver and Joker are still a young team.
It's
Like
about
how how is he going to get out of there?
it's about size. They got Timberwolves have a 7-1 Carl Anthony Towns, a 7-2 Rudy
Yes, and they
Gobert.
have no
They got a
size.
they got a 6'11
They have
Nas Reed off the bench. They
they have
can't
no
rebound.
size.
They couldn't rebound.
No,
They could not
no,
rebound anything. Couldn't
no.
rebound.
And you can't just hire a journeyman and say we're just gonna have a big three and a guy down low to get rebounds, but has no offense. Like that team's that's a mess. I mean, you know what, man? To be honest with you, Booker and Booker and uh, Kevin Durant, they were good enough. Uh huh. They were good. They were good enough to me personally to take Bradley Beal money and get 3 solid NBA players. Split that money up and get 3 solids because they, as you seen last night, they can both go get theirs. All they needed was someone else to help them get theirs when one of them was on the bench. That's how that team should have been constructed. Not another $50 million player that is often off injured, and you're hoping that he can play 82 games. That's where they messed up. They went name searching instead of like mid range guys. The mid range guys, the guys that make 15 mil a year, i.e., a guy like, and I'm not saying they would have got him, but I'm just saying what a type of player, like the guy that plays for the Lakers, number 15, uh,
Austin Reeves.
Austin Reeves, guys that in the 15 to 20 mil range. 3 of those guys would have been better than one Bradley Beal. And if you couldn't find them, don't just pull the desperate move and bring in Bradley Beal because you're stuck. Now you're stuck. You're stuck with them. You're stuck with them. The Washington Wizards will be better than Phoenix in the long term. Like that's as good as that team. That's as good as that team's going to be. And I feel so sorry for Booker because he can't go anywhere either. Where's he going?
Bradley Beal can't go nowhere. Bradley Beal has no trade clause unless he asks for it.
But again, if you tried to trade Booker, you'd have a line standing outside. Tried to trade Beal, that's the difference.
Well, there's possible trade rumors that maybe Kevin Durant wants to go to the Miami Heat, but in order for that to happen, you got to give up Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero. That's what you got to give up if you go trade for
I mean,
KD.
come on.
You got to give up 3 of those. You're gonna have to.
And that's everywhere he goes. That's Brooklyn. That's Phoenix. Like again, he found a way to get to the Warriors, and he should still be there. Just playing ball.
All right, next game. Last night, 3-1. The Indiana Pacers up 3-1. I know Dame Lillard didn't play, and Giannis is still out. But ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Portis got ejected very early in the game, and this was somewhat of a game changer because nobody else really stepped up. Brooke Lopez I think Brooke Lopez was probably the lead scorer. Malik Beasley was going off, but this Bucks team lost it at the end of the third quarter. And ladies and gentlemen, the Indiana Pacers hit about 24 3-pointers. They were hitting shots. This series is over. I told you it's been over. Even when Dame played, he has no help. He couldn't get it done alone in Portland, whether he played or not. I bet you if Damian Lillard played, they would have lost because nobody else is stepping up. Nobody else on that bench is stepping up. Their bench points weren't as good. So Indiana Pacers on Tuesday night will close out the series, whether Giannis comes back or not. Dame has a better chance of coming back than Giannis does, or Giannis has a better chance than Dame. What are your thoughts?
I think it's over. I think what I saw last night is I mean, they darn near have to play perfect to beat them in Indianapolis. And the way those guys shoot, beating them 3 games in a row, man, it's going to be tough. I mean, and you're asking players that whether they come back or not, because if they were near 100%, they would already be playing. So the games that they show up to play in, they're not even going to be 100%. And I'm asking 2 stars that are not 100% to beat a hot shooting team and get them 3 times, not 2, not 1 time, 3 times. One of those times they're going to be hot and the game's over. They win the series. And that's probably going to be game 6 back in Indianapolis.
I think Indiana closes out game 5 in Milwaukee. I think they'll close it out game 5 in Milwaukee. Next game, the Knicks up 3-1 against the Sixers. Up
That's
3-1.
over.
I called it, baby. I probably picked Philly to win it, but Philly always finds a way to lose it, and there's no excuse. They're up 3-1 without Julius Randle. That's an embarrassment for Philly because Philly had a chance to win game 2. They had a chance to tie the series 1-1, and they failed to do that. Joel Embiid still got his buckets, but the Philadelphia offense the last 4 minutes was stale. Ladies and gentlemen, Joel Embiid scored 1 point in the fourth quarter. He scored 1 point in the fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson had 47 points. He passed Bernard King for the most points in a playoff game. Oh, the Knicks look scary. The Knicks going to close it out. They're closing it. This series is over.
Okay. Yes. No, I feel you. So let's fast forward just for a second. And I mean, interesting matchup, possible Indiana New York Knicks matchup. Contrast in style.
I'll take the Knicks. Who's stopping Jalen Brunson? Who is stopping
Defense wins championships. Yeah, I like the Knicks. I mean, they got home court. No, I'm not saying. I mean, I just said it's a big, huge contrast in styles. You got a 3-point shooting team against a team that hunkers down and plays defense. And they guard the perimeter and I mean, and they beat you up, man. That's going to be something to watch. Who's able to impose their will on the other team?
And it's been the New York Knicks. They've been able to impose their will. Joel Embiid, I understand he's hurt, but Philly had chances in the game to close it out, but they just always find a way just to mess it up in the fourth quarter. They always find a way to mess it up, and their offense got stale. Why did you stop going away from Joel Embiid when Hartenstein was guarding Embiid in the third quarter and created 5 fouls in 1 quarter? So why did you stop going away from Joel Embiid? Why? Joel Embiid was dominating the third quarter. Why'd you go away from him? That's what I don't understand. It comes down to the coaching and adjustments. The adjustments weren't made, and there was key guys in New York. Dante Da Vinci, Josh Hart made some buckets. Anunoby made some buckets. It just came down to that. And Jalen Brunson distributing the ball to everybody. That's what it came down to. I'm not surprised that New York's up 3-1, but for Philly, this is very embarrassing. And just to let you know, for future purposes, Matt Pat's going to be a bandwagon, and he's going to like a different team because Philly just can't win and can't beat the New York Knicks. He's going to find a different team. That's what's going to happen. New York Knicks, let's ride.
Yo, and you know what? Honestly, I don't even like. I hope with that injury, I'd be a little bothered by that.
All right. Next game. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
All right. Next game. This was a great game yesterday. The Clippers and the Mavericks are tied 2-2. Mavericks had a chance to be up 3-1, but they were down 31 points in the second quarter. But Kyrie went off. It was not Luka's best game despite a triple-double because he had 3 fouls in the first quarter. With a technical foul, was not great. He was in foul trouble the whole entire game. Managed his way through 5 fouls in 2 quarters, but Kyrie Irving went off. But, ladies and gentlemen, they did not have an answer for Paul George or James Harden. How do you feel about this Clippers and Mavericks series? They won without Kawhi Leonard. And defensively, the Dallas Mavericks, Coach Taylor said the Mavericks are going to the Western Conference. Defensively, they had no answer for James Harden or Paul George. Defensively, they had no answer. They didn't make any adjustments on that one. So this series could go either way. I'm still thinking the
Yeah.
Mavericks could go 7. But defensively, they don't look good at all.
No. And then, again, you know, both are offensive. Okay, but both your guards have enormous offensive prowess. I always saw this series going this way and being tight, but in the end, I just think that the 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 Clippers have more dudes, and they have more dudes capable of making stops on defense. Also, I don't like the fact that they're two dominant offensive players for Dallas. They're average on the defensive end, and they have no bigs that can give you a guaranteed 15 to 20 points a night. It's like I don't know who's it going to be. So,
Coach Taylor said the Mavericks going to Western Conference. He said the Mavericks, they're going to the finals. They're going to win it all. Their defense don't look good to win it
no,
all.
I think it's going to be the Clippers, and then the Clippers are very fortunate, and they sit in that position where they don't have to beat Denver and Minnesota. They only have to beat the Thunder and whoever wins the Denver Minnesota series. So that's where I would they're sitting in the pole position because the other two have to battle each other, and you get the young Thunder. Not to say the Thunder can't beat them, but youth sometimes needs a little marination before it rises to the top. So uh and again, they've got a lot of experienced guys on the Clippers that go into that series with the Thunder. Let's say they end that series rather quickly, and let's say Denver and Minnesota go 7 games. Now you got a little bit of momentum, and you've got these guys having to exert a lot of energies. Clippers have a chance. They have a shot. They have enough guys. I mean, and if Kawhi can get himself together and give them something, they're a threat to go to the finals. I'm not discounting them.
All right. Well, let's recap the games for the night, and then we're close to ending this. The Boston Celtics and Miami Heat, game 4 in Miami. My Boston Celtics did great defensively, beating Miami by 20 points. Defensively, they were great. Everybody scored. Paul, will the Boston Celtics close the series out? Win game 4 tonight and then game 5 at home in Boston.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Next game, we got OKC and the Pelicans. They're up 3-0. Can they be the second team to close the series out? Is there anything to talk about here? I'm going to take OKC to win this game. I mean, the Pelicans tried, but this OKC team is very surprising to me despite the lack of experience that they have.
And again, the difference between this series where I'm just like, it's 3-0 for a reason. Like I've heard before, it's 3-0 for a reason because the other team is that much better. And without your marquee player on the court, uh, it's just not enough. It's not enough. If this game was like one quarter and then you fight for a quarter, if you win, then you get the W. No, it's 4 quarters. It's a long game for a team that's missing its marquee player, and it gives the Thunder a chance to show their depth, and their depth is what gets the Pelicans in the end. They've got more guys who can go get buckets than the Pelicans, and they got more length than the Pelicans.
All right, final game. Everybody's going to be watching. The Denver Nuggets and the LA Lakers. Now,
Is that tonight?
the Lakers didn't. Yeah, it's tonight. It's tonight at 10 o'clock. Game 5, because they played on Saturday night. So the game is tonight.
How many games are tonight?
Three. The three I
Okay.
just said. They're tonight. They're all tonight. So
Okay.
the
Okay.
series between the series between Denver and the Lakers. All you pathetic Lakers fans thinking they're going to come back. It's LeBron. It's all that. Okay. I think as a scripted, I think Denver Nuggets lost not on purpose, but lose just to win Game 5 at home in Denver. But they can't mess around. The Lakers kept the lead the whole entire time, and Denver Nuggets made some crucial mistakes at the end. I think Denver closed out the series tonight. I know LeBron James has been down 3-1 before, but the Denver Nuggets ain't gonna let that happen. It's gonna be very hard to win 4 straight games to win the series. The Denver Nuggets will close the series out. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, LeBron James is not your GOAT, right? I can pull up some film because they keep getting beat defensively on the same assignments, same back picks, the getting beat on the backside. I can go on and on and on about that. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player to ever touch a basketball. Stop telling me it's LeBron James. LeBron James, luckily, he didn't get swept, but Nuggets finish it in 5.
Um, I'll concur with that. And again, they have a little bit of added motivation after last night seeing the Timberwolves close out that series. They don't want to make this any longer than it needs to be. They need to kick back, get some rest, uh, get some ice on their knees and ankles, and get ready for a rugged series with a team that has length, that has athleticism, that has 3-point shooting, that has speed, that has guard play. It's going to be a series. So messing around with the Lakers tonight and going back to LA, nope, no, 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 nope. It's time to close them out so they can get as much rest as the Timberwolves, um, and be ready for Game 1. Because hold on, correct me if I'm wrong. Game 1 it will be in Minneapolis, correct?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, no,
Is
no,
what's it
no,
called
no,
on?
no, no,
Wait,
no, no,
it's
no,
is what's it
no,
called
no, no.
on
It'd be
here?
in Denver. It'd be in Denver because Denver's number 2 seed. Denver's number 2, Minnesota number 3. So Denver will have the home court next year. Denver's number 2
Okay,
seed. So it'll be
okay,
Denver.
all right. That's right. You're right. Yeah, because they play the Lakers 7 seed. Okay, so yeah. No, I really like the Nuggets tonight. I hope Coach Bald is on. That's my pick. Give me the Nuggets. I mean, yeah, give me the Nuggets tonight. And the I'll give them something. Money line parlay. Nuggets, Celtics, and Thunder. Nuggets, Celtics, Thunder, money line parlay.
Mm. All right, I will put that in once we end the show. This is it for Totem Pole Sports. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We are sponsored by St. Pete Rejuvenate. We will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. for more sports content. Like I said, this is going to happen. This will be LeBron James last year as the L.A. Laker. He's going to go where Bronny goes. I don't know. Is LeBron James on the final year of his contract? This will be the last of LeBron you see in the Laker. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, Silence Sports Denver, for the platform. Me, Lambo, and then the man from Seoul. We will be back. We're clocking out. We will be back tomorrow for bigger and better content because Totem Pole is the best, and we are better than ESPN. We are better than Fox. We are better than FS1. We are better than Barstool. We are the greatest people and the greatest motivators of all time. Without further ado, y'all have a great night. Please take care.